Hi, my name is Vita and this is Hippie Hub. Welcome! Hello if you know me already, and if you don't know me, I call myself a hippie crafty homemaker, and Hippie Hub is where creativity meets sustainability. Handmade, upcycled, and vintage. Now, I share all sorts of aspects of my life and what I do on this channel, but the most viewed videos always happen to be the ones that when I do some sort of sewing or upcycling or some sort of like handiwork. So I am so excited to finally get a day where I can sew. I missed it. I was so busy setting up my shops. You can see my last video and understand why I was so busy doing other things. I was all over the place, but finally things are balancing out. I know what I'm doing. I've got my restocks planned. So I've been wanting to work this fabric for 1 year now. I am not joking. Usually I do not take that long to get to the project, but this time it was that. So I bought this beautiful fabric. It is cotton and it is so pretty, and I have quite a lot of it. I started working this fabric I think the end of the fall, which is over half a year ago. Maybe 8 months. I think it was the end of summer, beginning of the fall, I think. And then I started cutting it up and making a video at the time, and then I suddenly felt like I'm not feeling that great and I need a break, and then that was it. And I never returned to this fabric. And you know what? I think the sewing gods were with me, because now I have so much better idea what I'm going to do with this fabric. Because before I wanted to do some flowy hippie kind of like a summer cover-ups thing, but it's just too much of it. It's too much. It's boring. I want to make something a little more trendy. And I've been seeing some of the tops that I have in mind that I'll show you in a minute already, kind of here and there, like in some movies or some like trending, some posts or whatever. So I think it's quite trendy. And I really like it, and this fabric just suits the idea so perfectly, so I hope I'll execute it well. So I also came across of this magazine cover that had that idea of a top. I'm not gonna copy it 100% exact. I have my own kind of version of it, but I'm gonna show you here. Never mind about the actress. I want nothing to do with the Disney drama. Let me just tell you, I went to see Minecraft movie instead, because they kept the politics out of my entertainment that I paid for. Okay, and I will keep the politics out of your entertainment. So let's just focus on the top. Here, well, it doesn't matter. Just a young girl who has no clue what she's doing. Anyway, can't hold myself. Okay, so this top is something that I love. I love the frilliness. I love this fabric, and I love that the line's going down. So I'm gonna have to cut the fabric to accommodate this idea. I see a hair stuck on here. There you go. And I think I'm gonna make probably a couple of variations of the same idea like I usually do. And I don't know if I want to do ruffles on the shoulders, because the fabric that I have is a little bit thicker than this material seems to be. This one seems to be more lacy and thin. My one is a little bit more thick because it's cotton, and it has a little bit more of a grip. So, but I definitely want to do ruffles kind of going around and down, and I want to close it with just tying up ribbons. So the top would be snug, it wouldn't overlap, it would just meet here. And since I don't really do patterns either, I'm gonna use this top as a ish kind of sizing thing, because this top, if I don't stretch it out, it kind of has a perfect fit. It's not too tight, it's not too loose, it kind of falls perfectly. It has a good cutout here. And of course the neck will have to be a little bit different. I will have to navigate that. But I will go for this type of width. I might not add too much on the sides to avoid making it too big for the sewing. I might just cut it out as it is, and then the folds that I'm for the sewing will shrink it just by slight pinch. And I want to make these tops like a belly button length, so that if you're wearing jeans or a skirt, it just has like a very cute little shape going. And I've been holding these for this idea for all this time. I have this string that is also very cotton earthy and is a perfect color match with the fabric. So it's gonna be very simple. So let's get to work. Once again, I'm so excited. I'm finally gonna sew this because I've been wanting to sew and create and craft for a while now. And today is the day. Okay, let's go. Let's get it done. And just before we get to work, let's just take a look at the attempt of me trying to film the video almost 1 year ago and work this fabric. Well, never mind the introduction. Let me just show you what actually I did to this fabric. So the fabric was double the size and I cut it in half, I believe. And here is the original tag. And to be honest, I don't know what this fabric was intended for. Is it a curtain, a blanket, a decoration? Because it seems quite useless for either. But it is very pretty fabric. So, and it is perfect for what I'm actually going to make this time. So now if I use this fabric directly to make a top that I am making right now, I would have not split the fabric into two pieces because that would have given me a lot more fabric to work with and place my pieces without having to like connect them and work around it. But we live and learn. Good thing I have another piece of fabric just like that I haven't cut in half yet. So the rest of the sewing will be a lot better. But to start, I'm gonna work one of those cut up ones, you know, just in case there's a error or a fail, so I don't have to damage like the complete piece of fabric. And I really at that point was trying to figure out what I'm going to do and why am I doing this. And then I actually just gave up and I said, you know what, I need to lie down because I think I'm under weather. And I did that and I have not returned to this fabric for almost 1 year. But the good things sometimes have to wait. All right, finally, let's get to work. Okay, so I have to align these pieces in a way that it makes most sense and that I can cut up a fabric in a way with as less waste. So I folded the top in half because I want the top to open in the front. Now I used the sides that already have been double folded and secured, so I don't have to waste more fabric. So the original finishings of the front fold will be as it is. So I'm maneuvering the scissors around in a way where I want to adjust the shape. Like for example, the neckline, I wanted it to be a little bit more V-neck than the original top was, but I'm using that as a size reference. So the back of the top, now I'm doing it in two pieces because of the limit of the fabric that I have. You don't have to do that. You can cut out a complete one piece for the back. But I'm doing it this way, and also at the back I do not need to have a V-neck, it's closed, so I'm cutting it like this. But I'm going to connect the back, and it is also fine to do so. Now the next bit, I am doing is I'm trying to use up all the remaining scraps of the fabric and cut like even lines so that I can connect it and turn it into the ruffling fabric for the neckline. So this is purely decorational. If you just want to make a simple top and don't want any ruffles, you do not need to do this. But I think the ruffles is what makes this top a fabulous top. And again, it would be a lot faster if we had more fabric, but again, I'd like to waste less. Okay, so I decided to draw this little sketch just to make myself more clear, because sometimes people tell me that I did fast forward sewing videos and they didn't catch the details of how I made it. So maybe this will be a little bit more helpful. So I'm just gonna draw out the pieces that I just cut out. Now let's say the back piece is cut out in a complete shape and we're not connecting it in the back. And this is like the ruffles where I would connect it. And again, if you have a straight line of fabric that you don't have to connect, great, then you don't need to do that. And these are 4 little strings that I'm gonna need to complete the front of the top where you can close and tie up. So there'll be 4 little strings attached to the top, which will make 2 tie-up ribbons. And I'm just drawing out like the actual complete idea-ish. And there you go. So I'm gonna explain the sewing process before I show you fast forward actual sewing process that I have done. And it does not have to be in exact order, but some things should go first. Okay, so the first thing I did with these pieces is that I did an overlock stitch all around the edges that did not have original finishings, because the fabric is very fragile and it needed to be secured. Now, if you don't have overlock, then you probably can use a zigzag. I've done that in the past before I bought the overlock machine, but trust me, overlock machine is a game changer. Now, the next thing I did after securing all the edges is start connecting the pieces. So connecting side to side, and then the other side to side, and then the shoulder parts and then I used a running stitch for that because I did not want to do double fold on any parts to avoid having like really thick edges when the fabric is very fragile and soft. So, okay, this might not make complete sense of the lines. It doesn't have to be exact side to side. Of course, you got to figure out where is your good side of the fabric, where is your bad side of the fabric. With this particular fabric, both sides were identical, so it didn't matter. But once you start sewing the pieces together, you want to make sure that all the stitching stays inside of the top, not one side on the outside and the other side on the inside. So just using logic and common sense and putting the pieces together in a way that works with the fabric that you are working with. So once the sides are connected and you have like a general shape of the top, then I went ahead and I folded the sleeves and the bottom part and anywhere where it needed to be completed, like the neckline. So in my situation, I only did 1 fold, but you can also do double folds, but then you will have to cut the fabric slightly wider to make sure you don't shrink the top completely. So again, common sense and planning few steps ahead. With the ruffles, also this big line, long line of fabric, I connected it together. I did a overlock stitch all the way around it. I single folded it. I did a running stitch on it. And then after we pinned it and sewn the ruffles, then added the tie-up strings to the top. I also ended up having to do slight tuck-ins here on the front, but I actually did that before I added the ruffles, and that was something that I realized when I did a fitting, and I realized that it needs to shape the top slightly better. Okay, so now we can actually see this process that I have just explained. So maybe if you are a beginner and you needed a little more detail and a little more clear explanation about how I sewed it and what I was doing. So there it was, because sometimes people tell me that I'm going too fast. You know, my intent is never to teach how to sew, because I am self-taught. So a lot of times I really don't know the exact professional way of how it's done. And I'm literally just making it up and figuring it out. So I avoid teaching exactly how to do it, because there might be better ways how to do it. But I'm explaining my thought process, and I'm explaining my way of doing it and what feels logical to me. So there goes the ruffles. And again, because I'm using a lot of little pieces, this process was a little bit longer than what it would be. So now that I'm doing a running stitch for the connections, I connected the fabric with running stitch, and then after I open the fabric, I press down the connection to one side, and I did one more running stitch over it to keep the stitching flat and more firm and secure and kind of in one place, if that makes sense. Now we're connecting the shoulders, and same thing with the stitch too. And when I add that extra stitch, you don't need to iron it, and I find it a little bit neater. And also there goes all the edges that need to be secured and finished up. So just one fold and a running stitch over it. And here you can see my incredibly impressive skills of sewing with just one hand, which is left hand, and while holding a camera with my right hand. I got it done, guys. I got it done. And I'm not left-handed. It's just that it was more easy to film that way. Tricks you learn when you start filming content. And this fabric, I wish you could feel it, because it is so soft and just so earthy. It is just such pleasure to feel it with your fingers. Okay, so it's coming together. This is a little bit loose, because after sewing it does stretch out a little bit, but not to worry. What we can do is just add a couple of pinches, or just one, to give it a little bit of a shape for the breasts. We can just do this, but I will fix it up later. I think that will be just a hand touch up. I also think that if it's gotten washed, that probably would fall back in place because, like I said, the fabric is so delicate, so it's just stretching out. Now here, if there's tiny wrinkles, it won't be noticeable because I'm adding ruffles. So what I'm planning to do with the ruffles, and I just realized I haven't did a fold here on the edges, so I'm gonna do that before I fold. But generally what I plan to do is just to do like a flat and stitch in the center, kind of like this, if that makes sense. So there's ruffles on both sides, and I want it to go all the way around like the neckline and all the way down here. So we're gonna have to evenly distribute this whole line of ruffles. And like I said, the only thing right now that is bothering me is this flabbiness here. So usually tops and vests do have a little to take in here. You know what? Let's do this. Let me turn it inside out and do a little pin to fix that problem, because it's a very snug top. Okay, also that needs to get cut off. Okay. It's literally a tiny bit. Make it perfect. So I'm gonna do a little straight line, and then I'm gonna fold this, and I'm gonna do another straight line to fix it in, and that will create a lot better shape. And here, of course, there will be ruffles. So okay, let's do this final step. The shape is great, the size is great. We're also going to need 2 strings here to be able to tie it up, but we're gonna do that the very last moment, I think. Okay, let's continue. This is inside out right now because I'm doing that. Okay, let's keep going. So now that the actual main top frame is fully complete, we're gonna add the decorations. I usually like to distribute the ruffling evenly and use up all that I have. So I'm pinning all the edges and then the middle part, and then keep working the middle of the middle, and there it goes. And that way I can evenly distribute all of the fabric and make the ruffles look neat and spaced out evenly. And this one is a very tedious process. I think it took me 15 minutes to just pin this. Okay, this is the entertaining part. So I usually remove the needles before I go over it with a sewing machine, because it always makes me feel nervous to go over the needles, even though I know some people sew over the pins if they are pinned sideways, not long ways. But this is the entertaining bit. So there I went all the way, and you can see that the ruffles are loose. Oh no, oh my God, what happened here? Look, I ran out of the thread. So there you go, take two. So now I went like wild and I started sewing over the needles. I said, I do not want to take this risk again, because it took too long to pin these ruffles to the top. So there I went, and it worked out. So now I'm less nervous to sew over the needles. But then I realized I still have to remove the needles after that. So it kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't seem to do much of a difference. So now we're gonna do the other side. The reason I'm doing from the center of the neck down to, and then again from the center of the neck to the other side down, is because the ruffles are folded that direction and it's easier to sew over it, not against the fold, if that makes sense. And also, in case the fabric moves slightly, I have better chance still even finishing it evenly when I do that, because the fabric might slip as you sew. And there you go, it's looking really cute. And now only one thing left to do, which add these tie-up ribbons. So this is easy. You can do it by hand, but I did it with a sewing machine because I wanted to like secure it super well. So I sewed like little squares with a running stitch on each ribbon. And I'm pinning it first so I know it's aligned and the top is looking even on both sides. I think it's complete. Let's try this on. This took me quite a bit. The ruffles was an insane, tedious work, but it looks yummy and scrumptious, just like I imagined. I generally love this idea of tie-ups rather than buttons. I just think it adds like a very romantic flavor to it. And I mean, the ribbons can be trimmed if needed, but I do like this tangle vibes. Okay. This is cute. I mean, I'm wearing it on a black top. I mean, it could be worn like this. Nothing wrong with that. It could just be worn with a white top underneath or a nude bra. Oh my God, this is so cute. I've been dreaming about making this for like a while now. I mean, it took me a while to figure out what I really want to make from this fabric, but now that I made it, it's just, that's why I wanted to make it so much. And you see the resemblance? It is not an exact style, but it is definitely the vibe. And I have been seeing this types of tops, like kind of, they have like this, like a Victorian slash boho hippie thing combined going, and this is cotton. This is so breathable, elegant. This would be perfect with jeans or a flowy skirt, to be honest, like anything. Even in a cooler weather, you could wear it on top of a polo just as an accessory. Isn't this adorable? Now, I feel like I want it for myself, but I also want to make something for sale too. Because I always need new items, and this is the business. This is business, and most of the times I don't have that much time to wear fabulous clothes. But I mean, this is so effortless. This can be worn like at any point in life. So I am going to try to make more of this type of tops. I don't know exactly how I'm going to wing it. If I'm gonna film this at this point, seriously, I don't know. I'm just so pleased I managed to complete this. This took me 2 hours. So this stuff does take time. And yes, with the filming, let's say we extend the work for like 30 minutes because to remember to set up the camera, change the angle and everything. So let's say if I was only sewing, this would have taken me an hour and a half. But because it's the first one I did, like I also can imagine if I did already like 5 of them at the same time, so I would cut multiple pieces and then I would sew, and then that would take me less time. And also because I was still trying to figure some things out, and the ruffles took me longer because I had to sew tiny little pieces. I didn't want to waste fabric. So yeah, there's a lot of things to add into it. I think once I have like the pace going, I can make each top like within an hour, under an hour, hopefully ish. I do have some more of this fabric, and I think this is the best thing to do with this fabric is make little tops like that. Now I do want to experiment with a couple of different designs too. I want to do a top to pull over your head and tie up with the ribbons on the sides and have the ruffles and frillies on the bottom. So I want to do one like that, and then I'll see how it feels, but I think this one is so good. This one is so sweet. Okay, enough talking. Let's do some more stuff. Let's keep going. So I managed to make one more, and this one is even more perfect. Okay, so I did cut my sewing time by 30 minutes. So it took me 1.5 hours, but I did film short kind of content, like for little reels and stuff while I was sewing it, so it did still slow me down. But because this was a second top, I already knew exactly what to do. I literally repeated what I already did, so it is faster. Now I bet if I make a third one, I would be able to do it within 1 hour. Now I am going to continue to sew more of these another day because now I already have to start tidying up and go pick my kids up from school. So this will be it for today. Now I'm gonna continue making these with whatever the fabric that I have left, and I still have quite a bit, this much. So I made 2 of these from half of the massive cloth. So this is another half. So I could technically make 2 more of the same tops from this one and another 4 out of the other cloth. Now I want to experiment. I really love how it turned out. I think they are just so perfect for summer right now. I am going to try to make 6 of these and then place 2 in each location that I'm selling. And I'm gonna see where it sells first, if it sells, and when it sells, and I'll price them the same. It will be 2 each in each shop. But at first I gotta finish making them. But like I said, if I don't film any content while I'm doing it, I already know exactly what to do. It should take me an hour per top. So I could get it done within maybe the end of next week. We will see, but let's just put this one on just to make sure everything's all right. I still have some strings coming out that I need to cut away because I literally just finished sewing this. I feel like this one is even like better, but let's see how the fit is. Ooh, sweet. Okay, I did make this in a little bit slightly different location. I did not put it on when I pinned it, but that's okay. All right, I feel like this one is just a pinch more snug, but it's still very comfortable. I feel like this one has the shoulder line a little bit more narrow. I think when I was cutting it, I was trying to like shape it slightly different, but I feel like the ruffles on this one is like extra neat. This is, I like it a lot. Okay, so let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you would wear it. And you know, I always wonder about the algorithms and all like the analytics that I can look into things, and I feel like there's a lot of audience that I have based in US. Let me know, are you from US? Because sometimes yeah, I see sometimes some videos are getting viewed more in Canada, sometimes more in United States of America, sometimes even Japan or Germany. So if you're watching and if you from any of these countries or another country that I haven't even mentioned, write a comment below of what country you're watching from. That would be very lovely. It would be very nice to communicate with you and to swap a couple of messages back and forth on the comments down below. All right, have a lovely week. Stay creative, keep on crafting. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm so happy I finally got some sewing done. It felt so satisfying and I am very happy about this outcome. Alrighty, now we're gonna have to edit the video and post it so you get to watch it. Alrighty, bye, mwah, see you.